Hello, my name is Bob Brown, and it's my privilege to host this show, which is based on the reality that Westborough is a great town filled with interesting people. Many of them are long-term residents who have so many memories and stories about life in Westborough in days gone past. And so your local cable station, Westborough TV, has initiated this series of programs which are designed to reflect upon life in earlier days and to possibly make suggestions about how we can improve life in this fine town for the future.
It's a real privilege for me today to be able to talk with Lydia Goldblatt. I think many people in town know Lydia very well, better than I do, but we're all going to get to know her now. And I've asked Polly to come along. She's a good friend of Lydia's to help with this conversation. So welcome, ladies. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me, Bob.
Lydia, would you be willing to start off and tell us a little bit about your family, how you came into this world? And
how I came into this world, like most people came into this world. I know that's a shock.
Stork?
I was born, my dad was from Virginia, my mom was from Cumberland, Maryland, which is where I was born. I was fourth generation born in that town. And one day that's where I'll end up when I go 6 feet under. Family of 5. I had 2 brothers and 3 sisters, my 3 girls, 2 boys. We went from there, we moved to New York City, we lived in New Jersey for a while. We moved to New York City. It was kind of tough for my dad to commute. His feet had been very badly frozen at Battle of the Bulge. So he was vice president of McCall's. It was kind of tough for him to commute in, so we ended up moving into the city in the summer of 1962. And that's where I stayed till 77 when I came up to Westborough. Went to high school in New York City, took a couple college classes in New York City. First job was in the garment district, and that's where I worked. So.
Well, I was from Scarsdale, so I was close by.
Oh, okay. My cousins lived in Scarsdale.
Did they really?
I sure did.
Great.
The Weinbergs.
And what brought you up here?
Just brought the kids up here and, established up here. It was a great school system. My kids all went through the schools.
Great.
And, it's a great town.
Good.
Love this town.
Keep going with your family now. Who are your kids?
My kids.
What are they doing?
I have 3 daughters. I have 2 son-in-laws. I have 2 grandchildren.
Great.
And, I love my kids. That's the most important thing, family.
Are they around you here?
Just one.
Just one.
Just one.
Good.
So, as it should be.
Yeah.
My dad told me a long time ago, your kids are only on loan to you.
That's
and
right.
That's true.
Absolutely.
That's true.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I've been very fortunate.
Yeah. I've always said if I had another family, I'd know how to do it the next time around.
I don't want to do it next time around.
So while you're here in Westborough, what's occupied your time? What have you done for work?
Well, I've done a lot of things. You mean over the last couple of years, or?
Take us back. When you came, what did you raised a family, but you were working?
Yep, raised the girls and raised the girls. I've had jobs at, Chengdu.
Yeah.
I worked at Chengdu. I worked up at the Comfort Inn. I worked at Harry's. Worked at Red's.
Yeah.
They brought me on when he made the whole farm bigger and that whole rigmarole.
Yeah.
When Mitt Romney ran for governor, Karen Polito sent my resume over, and the next thing I was hired by Mitt Romney to work with him on his campaign for governor. And then he was kind enough to take me on to the State House, and I was Director of External Relations for him and then Chairman of the Civil Service Commission.
Good for you.
And then when Scott Brown was elected, he brought me on, and I was Deputy State Director for him.
Good for you.
When she was being sworn in for whatever position with
Chairman
Governor.
of the Civil Service
Yeah.
Commission. Yep.
And we went into his
yeah.
office. A few of us from here went into his office, and he swore her in and everything. He said, "Now I've got a meeting. You can stay as long as you want and do what you want." We rearranged everything on his desk and everything. We had the best time before we left. Yeah.
Now who's he? Romney?
Romney, yeah.
Mitt, yeah,
Great.
yeah,
Great.
yeah. I invited, Polly came in and Barbara Smith and Nancy Ward, Martha Schoenfeld, my kids, and the people that own Chengdu.
Yeah.
Fong and Tang were there. And
Great.
it was great.
Yeah, it was. It was very nice. It was so relaxed. My gosh, it was
That's
great.
nice.
Yeah,
That's nice.
so it was great.
So you've enjoyed the political scene.
Oh yeah, I love it. I love, you know, even as a kid when I was, I mean, probably 10, 12 years, I would sit there by the hour and watch the conventions, and I was always fascinated with the whole thing and the people, and you know, just the way, I mean, my grandmother down in Maryland, my mother's mother, she was very active. Matter of fact, I was looking at some newspaper articles not long ago when I was going through my folk stuff, where she led the women's Maryland delegation down to Baltimore and was raising Cain about something. She was waving the American flag and all. So,
Good.
yeah, she was very, very civic minded.
What is your view of politics in this country today? How do you feel we're doing?
Well, you know, it bothers me that people can't just come together and come to a solution. Unfortunately, it's because of, you know, I think the parties, there's so much pull on both sides. And I just, you know, I've never been one for that.
Yeah.
I've always been one for what's the best solution for the problem. It doesn't matter if you came up with it
Right.
and you're a Democrat, or this one came up with it and they're independent. I've never cared about stuff like that. You know, what's the best solution and how can we get to a solution? But
Why is it that doesn't turn out that way? What is,
you know, I don't know.
you
I
get
don't
good
know.
people
I
to
think,
go
I
and they
think, no, I think people, unfortunately, I think people go to Washington and they forget why the hell they went there. They went there because of voters like folks in all these towns. That's who sent them there.
Yeah.
You know, and they kind of get there and they forget why they went there.
Yeah.
And they didn't go there to fight about parties and who came up with the best. What's the best solution? Doesn't matter who came up with it.
Is
You
part
know.
of the problem ours is that we just aren't on their backs enough to simply say, get going here, you're not representing us, and really hold their feet to the fire a little bit?
Oh, yeah, I feel it is. I feel people get down there, that they're down there for a very long time.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
they kind of lose focus of why they went down there.
right.
You know, it's like running a business for 50 years one way, and then all of a sudden you run it another way. Well, you might go out of business. That's the way you first went in, that's what puts you into business. And people forget, they don't keep their eye on the ball.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of times the older businesses, they go out because they try to change. That's not what people, you know, I mean, there's many places like that. And I feel bad.
What do you think of the concept of term limits? Does that solve any part of the problem?
I believe in, look, I was on the Board of Selectmen for 12 years. And, you know, I said, and I truly believe that you want to go when people still want you to stay. I never wanted, and you never want to be in a position where people are like, my gosh, well, they're going to have to put a stick of dynamite under the chair and get this person out of here. You know, I just feel after a time, it's time to move on.
Yeah.
It's time to move on. Thank you.
But you also were on school committee.
Yes, I was for 9 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, for 9 years.
So you've given a lot to this town.
Oh, yeah.
And
So-
I think what you say, she always was there. No matter what was going on, some minor thing, Lydia would be there,
Yeah, and
representing the town.
You always amazed me because you had to commute back and forth to Boston,
Yep, I did.
and that's an early morning commute and it's a late night commute, isn't it? I mean, then,
I was up at 4 in the morning. I was on the 5:35 train into Boston.
yeah,
I'd be walking into my office about 7 o'clock in the morning,
yeah,
and then come home if I had something to do for either Mitt or Scott, or you know, probably 8 or 9 o'clock at night. I don't sleep that much, obviously.
I guess you don't.
I never go to bed much before
Maybe
11.
that's why we get along.
11:30. I'm up at 4 again. I mean, that's just always been me. You
That's
know,
amazing. I don't know how you do that.
I thank God every day for my health and my children's health.
Yeah, great.
Without that, you can't do anything.
Yeah,
You can't do anything. So, look, I've been very lucky.
Yeah.
Very, very lucky. Work for great people, really. And who would have thought someone from Cumberland, Maryland, which is in western Maryland, you know, hillbilly town, would be where I've been and the people I've been with and the opportunities I've been given, and really, it's unbelievable.
But it's more of the opportunities you've also taken to give back to others. You've done an awful lot of work for an awful lot of good people here in
Oh,
this
yeah,
town.
yeah.
And that's, so often it goes unnoticed, but I know a lot of what you've done, and it's remarkable stuff.
Well, thank you very much. You
I
know,
always remember Lydia and Barbara Smith coming into the house right after Kyle died. And here they come with this big kettle of soup. And Lydia said, "That's what we do. We bring food."
That's great.
you know, Bob, I was brought up in an atmosphere, a home that you should just do for people. You don't have to tell people what you're doing. And quite frankly, it's nobody's business what you do for
That's
people
right. Well, that's real giving.
behind the scenes,
That's right.
you know.
Get your name out of it, just give.
Yeah, if you know, many times just pick up a phone, and which I'm very good at, and giving folks a call, or, you know, do you need something, or, you know, just do it, or I'm happy to do it.
You're
If I
great.
can do it, I'm more than happy to do it.
Yep.
So,
So in the town of Westborough, you were on the school committee? You were on
Finance committee for 3
finance.
years.
I thought you were on finance
yeah,
too. Yeah,
for 3 years,
yeah,
and then the Board of Selectmen.
yeah. Now, sitting back away from it for a while, do you see things you'd like to see changed in this town?
Oh, always. That's me.
All right, good.
Always.
What are
Sometimes
some
I'm
of-
yelling at the TV set at all the meetings. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you saying that for? And then I just shut it off. It's like I'm an avid Yankees fan. When the Yankees are winning, I shut the TV off.
Afraid they're going to lose, yeah.
Afraid they're going to lose, so I just shut the TV off.
I'm the same way around teams that I really pull for. I can't stand to watch them. Read the paper the next day, see how they did. Let's be specific about some things.
Sure.
This has been a great community. I've appreciated raising my kids here and all that this town has given to me. But it's a different town than the town that we came into. And in this growth now, we've lost a little bit of the character of this town. People complain about the traffic and all those sorts of things, but what are some of the real issues that we need to address in this town? I'm now on the municipal building committee,
Yeah.
and as we look at building a firehouse and renovating the town hall and doing something about the Forbes building, people are constantly saying, and rightly so, you know, people in this town are on fixed incomes.
Yeah.
You can't keep doing this stuff. And then they're right. Yet on the other hand, you can't let the buildings fall down. You got to take care of them.
We should have done it a long time ago. That's the thing. We
Well-
should have done it through the years, but
Well, we got a lot of shouldas, but we got to
yeah,
keep
Shoulda, coulda, woulda.
coulda.
You know?
Yeah.
yeah.
But it's a delicate balance to do these things that you need to have done and yet be conscious of the needs of people who don't have a lot of money.
Well, I mean, it's like, you know, when I was on the school committee and the schools were exploding and, you know, population. I mean, we had to build more schools
Right.
or, you know, expand them, certainly. Mill Pond was built, and of course the high school was, you know, added on to. And eventually, I mean, if the school population continues to grow, the school committee's going to have to do something.
That's right.
And, you know, no matter what you want to do in life, it's going to cost money. You know, as my dad told me a long time ago, Lydia, everything always gets back to money. And it does. It absolutely does. You know, as the firehouse, I mean, I was on the Board of Selectmen when we bought the property next door with the foresight that, yeah, we're going to need a firehouse and we're going to
Right.
need land. And there's not that much land in Westborough, quite frankly, left anymore.
That's right.
So, you know, we bought that in the hopes that I wish it would have been put up sooner, but it wasn't. But now it is.
Yeah.
You know, the town hall has long needed, you know, renovation. But there again, it costs money. And how
Right.
much can you know, hit people that are on fixed incomes? And
Right.
eventually, even people that aren't on fixed incomes are going to say, wait a minute, enough, you know. Of course, you know, the schools are a major portion of the budget, you know.
Big chunk.
But
Yeah.
a big chunk of the budget, what, 77% or
That's right.
something?
Yeah.
77%. So, but you got to have good schools to maintain your community, to have people, you know. So it's exactly what you said, Bob. It's a delicate balance.
Yeah.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
Overall, I mean, I think Westborough is Westborough is a unique, wonderful community. It is.
It is. You're right.
You know, a lot of people. Sure, the town's changed. You know, I always say to my family, the only town that hasn't changed in the United States is Cumberland, Maryland. That's where I was born. It's the same town. You know,
Well, we can think of a
I'm-
couple, can't we, Polly?
I'm in,
Yeah.
I'm in the car, you know, you drive into Cumberland, and I feel like I'm in a time warp. But, you know,
Yeah,
that's the way it used to be, and most towns aren't,
that's right.
quite
But
frankly.
people say, you know, they grumble about the fact that we've grown and more traffic and everything. And I said, well, in my mind, you either grow or you die. And the town I came from has died.
Yeah.
I was trying to show Holly all these things. There's nothing left. Nothing. Nothing, nothing. So it's either one way or the other.
And, you know, we're fortunate in Westborough, too, we have the business base we have.
Oh, that's right.
What is it, I think 41% of the taxes that are paid in this town are paid by the businesses. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if we didn't have the businesses,
Yeah.
we would be in big trouble. And the businesses in town have been very good to the town.
Right.
They've been very good to the town.
Yeah.
I mean, whenever there's fundraisers or something's needed, or they're usually the first ones to step up
Yeah.
Yeah.
and come forward.
And that's the way it's always been. I remember when we
And that's
first
the
came
way
to
it's
town,
always, yeah,
you needed a field house. Well, we'll go to Bay State. They'll build us a
Yeah.
field house.
Yeah.
And people got in the habit of just thinking Bay State will bail you out of everything you're doing.
Yeah.
And they did for
And
a
they
long
did.
time.
They tried.
Yeah.
They did.
so I mean, we've been fortunate, you know,
Yeah.
this town.
And the buildings that we're talking about renovating now, the town hall, the Forbes building, they were given to the town.
They were given to the town.
Right.
That was the adversity I had of leaving town hall and moving to a shopping center.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, was that the family gave that to the town, built that, or did the town
What, the
build
town
that?
hall?
Yes.
They didn't give all of the money to it.
Yeah, but they gave a major.
A major
Yeah.
part of it, yeah.
Right. Major portion
In fact,
of-
I'm going through a lot of cards trying to eliminate cards that I've gotten in the past, and one was a picture of the town hall, and it gave on it the percentage of money that the Forbes family gave
Right.
to build the building. They gave the Forbes High School outright, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
They gave yeah.
That's
so,
probably
I mean,
the
there
best
you go.
built
I mean,
building
you know,
in town.
I
They
mean,
did
what are you
Kirkside
supposed to
too,
do?
didn't they?
Yes. Yeah.
Kirkside, which was a women's nursing home.
Yeah, I mean, these families gave these things to the town, and you don't just knock them down.
That's
You know,
right.
once you knock something down, I mean, it's done. It's
That's
gone
right.
forever.
Yeah.
It's gone forever.
I think they also built, what's the street that goes from Milk up to High Street by the Sunoco station? Is that Phillips?
That's Phillip Street.
They built that street because the kids were always going back and forth, and they said, let's make a street out of it. Mrs. Holman's told me that.
Is that right?
Yeah. She was part of that family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So we still try to strike a balance. I think we take for granted an awful lot of services. School is a big part of it, but we've also got some good departments.
oh,
The police department, the fire department, the DPW.
this town, you know, it's funny, when you live in Westborough, you become used to the way that the wonderful services in this town service the town. The police, the fire, the DPW, the Department of Health, the I mean, you know, I could go on and on.
That's right.
Youth and Family Services.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
this town is
Rec department.
the rec department. I mean,
Big.
Frank Desiata.
Jeez.
It's unbelievable. You know, how lucky are we in this town to have the departments we have and the
Right.
department heads we have.
That's
Yeah.
right.
We're lucky.
That's
you know,
right.
you might have 100 departments, but when you have people running those departments that are as proficient as the ones we have, we're pretty damn lucky, let me
That's
tell
right.
you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, people will tell you, and I've heard, I can remember flying into Rhode Island one time and trying to come home, and we had a man from Grafton was supposed to pick Hallie and I up. We called, and he said, well, the roads aren't plowed. Take a while. And when we got in the car, we were talking, he said, you will know when we hit Westborough. They're always the best plowed town around. And I heard it again at this storm. A woman was coming from Framingham and came through Ashland and that way. And she said, she said it was terrible. She said, but when I hit Westborough, the roads were clear.
Oh, yeah.
They said that at the selectmen's meeting the other night when they had John Walden was there
Yeah.
and the two chiefs.
Yeah.
They were talking about debriefing about how we handle the storms. And they said, you always know when you come to Westborough.
Yeah, yeah.
You always know when you come.
And you know, of course, I was probably the closest to the fire chief and the police chief and the DPW because they work directly for the
Sure.
Board of Selectmen, although You know, the town manager oversees their day-to-day operation, but they work directly for the Board of
Right.
Selectmen. And I'll tell you, you can't find three greater guys that are more compassionate about this town, the welfare of this town, and its citizens.
Yeah.
It's really, it's unbelievable. And you know, you get spoiled living here, because that's the way you think every town is.
Yeah.
But it's
All
been fun
three of-
watching them grow in the job. Each one of those men has
Absolutely,
grown
yes.
tremendously while they've been in those
And they're
positions.
all natives.
Yeah.
Yep.
Native. And you look at all the other department heads, and many of them do not live here.
Well, Frank Desiata,
He was born
Yeah.
here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
yeah,
Nikki was,
Nikki, Al, John.
and John. Yeah.
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 So I mean, we're lucky
We
in this
are.
town.
We're very lucky.
Very, very lucky.
Yeah. It's a great town.
It's a great town. Great town.
I'm glad we hit. I came here in '51. I'm glad we hit Westborough.
Now, when you were a selectman, I was always impressed at the end of every meeting. You would not let it end without you saying, let's remember
Yeah.
our men and women in service to us.
Keeping your hearts and prayers, all the men and women.
Yeah.
So far, far from home. And the reason I said that, Lee Emery asked me that after a meeting one night. And she said, why do you always say that? And I said, I say that because when my brother came back from Vietnam, he was treated horribly.
Right.
Not only him individually,
That's right, all of
but
them.
every Vietnam vet that came back. It was horrible.
They were sinners.
It was absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
And I remember saying then, if I'm ever in a position, I'm going to make sure that the men and women are always remembered.
Yeah.
Because without them and their sacrifice, we wouldn't all be sitting here.
Absolutely.
Look, my dad was at D-Day and Battle of the Bulge. I mean, you know, give me a break.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so many others. I mean, I feel bad. All the World War II vets are, you know, what is it, 1,500 or 1,600 a day, or
Isn't that awful?
are
a number?
dying. And when you see some of the films, the original films on the military channel, which I watch,
Yeah.
and the original footage of so many things. I was watching some the other night from World War I. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
I mean, as tough as I am, I will tell you, I don't know if I'd want to run over a hill with people shooting at me and me with a rifle in. I mean,
That's right.
and I mean that.
That's right.
I mean that. That takes courage.
Yeah, I don't know what
Just courage.
I was one of those guys that didn't have to serve, and that's one of the things I really missed in my life. I really feel I've let my country down by not doing that. But at the same time, I marvel at what these guys do. You know,
Oh,
just
it's-
guys from the farms getting out and sacrificing their lives. And
I can remember my dad. He was head of the civil service. I mean, the not civil service.
Civil defense.
Yeah, civil defense, but also the fellows that got drafted.
Oh,
And we
they're
had
important.
some of those farm kids up in northern Maine that never left Ashland. And Dad would drive them to Bangor and talk to them down and put them on the train, and they'd be a little calmer. They'd never left that little town, and I think that happened all over this country.
that's right.
First time they'd ever left home.
It's like I said, to me that's pure courage.
Yeah,
Courage.
absolutely. And I appreciate you doing that. And I look forward to that every time I watch the select.
Yeah, me too.
And you got Denny's picked it up now.
Yeah, Denny. Yes,
Denny's
Denny
doing-
has.
Denny's-
Does he? He
did
picked,
it the other
picked
night.
it up.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's
Good.
important.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's important.
Absolutely.
That's why I wanted that park up the road here named Veterans Freedom Park.
Yeah.
You know, one place in town that we can, I just think it's important.
Yeah.
And it's important, it's more important for the younger generation to know what has been sacrificed
Absolutely.
for them to have the freedoms they have.
That's right.
You know, and that's, you know, that's up to the parents. And, you know, I used to, many times during the Memorial Day parade, and I would speak, I would always say to the parents, thank you so much for bringing your children here. Because
right.
then they'll remember, they'll know the value of all of this.
Yep.
You know, it's not just a bunch of bands and people marching around in uniforms.
Right.
It's the sacrifice that they've made for this country that all of us can do what we want to do.
That's right. Absolutely.
Whenever we want to do it, say whatever we want to say.
Yeah.
I could stand out here with a picket sign and, you know,
How would you improve the town? Anything on your mind about that? You have a chance to sit back and look at it now. What
how
would
would I
you?
improve the town? Well, first thing, I'd open up as a Jewish deli.
There you go.
That's the one thing the
Bagels.
town's missing.
Why don't you do it, Lydia?
I always say
Got
that.
everything else in town.
You know, like I've always said to people, you want to improve the town, get involved. You know,
That's
instead
what
of
I
throwing
say,
fire
yeah.
bombs from 20 feet back and, you know, running away.
Yeah.
If you want to improve the town, or you think it should be improved, or you think there's things that should change, then get involved.
Yeah.
You know, even at the smallest level, get involved.
right.
And how could it be improved? You know, things can always be improved. Me personally, I mean, look, I have a soft place in my heart for Westborough. I think Westborough is a great town. And Mitt and Scott always used to tease me, where am I going, Lydia, today? Back out to Westborough? But it's a great town.
It is.
It's a great town.
It is.
So things can always be improved. We can be improved,
Absolutely.
you know.
Absolutely.
But I always say to people, then get involved, you know.
That's what I say too. Don't just talk about it, do something.
Yeah, and Joe Harrington's working very hard to make the town meeting more of a town event rather than just a handful of people.
Yeah.
And that's a tough thing to do, but we've got to get involved.
Yeah.
We've got to start doing that.
Yeah. They'd complain to me about things, and I'd say, did you go to town meeting? Nah, I don't want to bother with that.
Right.
And I said, then don't talk to me about it.
Yeah.
Do something.
That was the issue here when we decided to run the town meeting on television. Would that add to the problem about people just sitting home and sipping their coffee, watching?
That was the question I had.
Or whether
Yeah.
it would force people to do a little bit more involvement. But I don't think we have got an answer to that yet, but
It's coming.
it's coming, yeah. It's coming. Yep. Anything I've missed, Polly?
Well, I'm trying to think. There's so much about Lydia that I know, but it's all about, she's been so, when she says she's going to do something, it's going to get done. And that's the thing, and she stays involved until it is done. And I've been on so many committees with Lydia. I'm
Yeah.
trying to think, the last one I was on, I think, was when we did the
10th anniversary of the
9/11.
9/11.
Yeah, that was done so well, and I didn't go up in the bleachers. Each one of us on the committee read names, and they had a chair for me down below the bleachers. And when I ever turned around and saw those bleachers full and the whole bank filled with people,
Yeah.
and everyone said that Westborough did such a tremendous job. Others did a lot of political things, and Lydia was the one that said, people can come, these senators or whatever, they can come, but they can sit in the audience. There's going to be no political part in this.
That's right.
And it was done so well. That's one of the best committees I was ever on.
Yeah.
That
It wasn't
was
a time
done-
for politics.
Yeah.
All that.
Well, you've been a great contributor to this community,
Well, thank you.
and I
appreciate
admire
that.
what you've done, and have always.
Well, it means a lot coming from you and Polly. And,
Well.
you know, look, I always do things because I want to do them. It's not
Yeah.
because I want to do it. It makes me feel good.
Well, great. Well, I want to thank you both for taking
We've
the
got
time.
to find something else for her to do, though.
We'll keep working at it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for inviting me today, and for
great-
Polly for inviting me.
Great to be with you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure.